hold on to this coin to coin into a 3-drop next turn, and they are really hoping that they pick up a secret off the top that they can just go ahead and play alongside Kirin Tormage. Living Spores is not actually a terrible adaptation here for Barry, and St. Edward's does whiff on the secret there, so maybe we'll see them going for Stargazer Luna just to try to challenge the board a little bit, but they're actually going to take things slower and just hero power here.
I like taking things slower, just get that minion off the board. I think your hero power you need to utilize when you can, especially on turns like that. So I definitely like it, especially when you're not really coining into any powerful play. Maybe if you were coining into, say, Kirin Tor with a potential counterspell to stop an animal companion, there's some consideration for that. But I think overall, just utilizing the hero power when you can is definitely the way to go.
And this is an opportunity for them to coin out the Flame Elemental. I really like it here. The play that they've made this turn does play effectively around Scavenging Hyena and trades. These spores are not beasts. So I like just continuing to pressure the board as much as they can. They're going to be locked into a 3-drop next turn instead of having the option to hero power and play the Flame Elemental, but I think that's fine.
Yeah, unfortunately these spores aren't beasts, but it's still going to be a little annoying that this Scavenging Hyena is kind of out of the range. They would really love to get that off the board immediately. So now it looks like they're going to go for Black Cat. I like this. It still contests. The only bad thing about this one is, I'm going to check the list real quick before I make a fool of myself. Is Barry running a copy of Flanking Strike?
I would think no.
No, they are running 2 copies.
Oh, they are?
No matter what they really played, though, the Flanking Strike was going to be an issue, because Kirin Tor, if it got played, Flanking Strike would be an issue. Stargazer Luna, it wouldn't necessarily be an issue, but it would just immediately get value traded. And now we see Barry playing that Animal Companion, getting the Huffer, taking a beautiful trade, and now this Hyena is putting in work.
Yeah, I guess these mid-range hunters are all pretty much running at least 1 copy of Flanking Strike, now that you mention it.
It's such a powerful card.
Yeah, and somehow that St. Edward's University have found room for 2 copies of Life Drinker as well. They've actually cut the Savannah Highmanes.
Oh, they're real aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
2 Headhunters Hatchets as well.
Headhunter's Hatchet can go face. There's a deadly shot. That gets through taunts.
Yeah, it can. And St. Edward's is, again, going to be trying to leverage this hero power, but Barry still has this Scavenging Hyena on the board. The Unleash the Hounds in the hand is not going to get the most value here. It's only going to be able to summon 2 hounds, but those 2 hounds are going to continue to buff the Hyena that they've seen St. Edward's can't deal with.
Oh, and then they can Wing
pick
Blast,
up the Wing Blast
if they need to. I don't necessarily think they're going to Wing Blast, but it's an option.
They may? I mean, this is just protect the president right now.
Protect the president.
If the president doesn't die,
That's
then
game.
They don't lose the game.
That's game.
St. Edward's cannot kill this Hyena, and this is another instance of a 2-drop gone wild, which is something that we've been seeing more and more often with this Hunter deck, and something that, you know, you would think this mage with an upgraded hero power should not fall victim to, but it is still going to a lot of the time. If you can get that Hyena down in a turn where you trade minions, and it gets buffed up to the point where nothing can kill it, well, eventually it's gonna kill your opponent.
St. Edward's is just shaking their head like, you got that one.
You got us.
And Barry was just like laughing the entire set. They're just like, look at this Hyena.
He's got 15 attack. Isn't that sweet? All right, that's gonna leave them with their Xerix Cloning Gallery Priest and their Even Warlock. Edwards may have a bit more trouble finding a win with that mage now, as Xerix Cloning Gallery and Even Warlock do both have pretty substantial forms of healing. The Priest obviously more so than the Warlock, but that, I would say, was probably the matchup they wanted to get that mage through on, so things could be a little bit tough for them now.
Yeah, that Hyena got way out of hand. That was
That
just,
it did.
there's not really much you can do about that. I think they tried to set it up as best they could, but the double Unleash the Hounds, actually, or the first Unleash the Hounds to kind of buff it out of range, on top of the fact that they just kept trading and trading to get it out of range. Just, there's no Fireball, there's no Frostball, there's no way to answer that Hyena immediately.
Yeah, it was rough. Usually they have to rely on like Arcane Missiles or Cinderstorm for the additional bits of damage they need to clear something up, but even then, that's not guaranteed. Oftentimes you don't get the missiles to go exactly where you want them to. That's really where Daring Fire Eater is
Daring Fire Eater would've been a great draw.
incredibly good. If they'd found Daring Fire Eater at any point to just be able to ping off the hyena, then suddenly that hyena is dealing like 13 less damage that game, and then the hand from Berry College was pretty much down to just Master's Call and whatever they pick up off of the Master's Call. So there was definitely a couple turns in there where had St. Edward's had the ability to clear up that hyena, things would have gone very differently. But Barry was able to close things out, and now just got to find wins with the Even Warlock and the Xerix Priest, which are two of the most consistent decks, I would say, in the meta right now. Even Warlock has definitely been falling out of favor quite a bit. I personally don't know how I feel about it right now. I think it was pretty poorly performing in HCT Winter Championships, which happened just this weekend.
I think it's mostly because even Warlock is going to have a rough time into Hunter and Priest, which are two of the most dominant classes right now, and you don't necessarily want to dedicate a ban to one of those classes. So I think that might be why the even Warlock hasn't been performing as well recently, is just because, you know, Priest and Hunter are pretty strong, and you see Barry there with the 3-key. Going to keep the Gnome Fratu in the opening hand.
They're like, okay, taste of your own medicine, Barry. Dire Mole, Scavenging Hyena into Master's Call. Second Master's Call. St. Edward's are not going to be running out of steam anytime soon. And Barry's Even Warlock list does have some anti-combo text, I suppose you could call them, with the 2 copies of Gnome Fratu. Usually we're seeing Even Warlock running a copy of... oh my gosh, set each player's mana crystals to 5.
Mojo Master
Mojo Master Ziggy. Yes, they do not have that, but they do have the 2 Gnome Fratus instead.
Yeah, it looks like they opted to maybe cut Sun Fury Protector and Doomsayer. There's one of each of those in the list. They do keep the Giant in the opening hand. I kind of like that. I think you need some kind of pressure in this matchup. And a lot of lists, they've been cutting Hunter's Mark slowly and gradually. And it looks as if their list does not contain Hunter's Mark.
Big opportunity if this is Huffer.
I think even Misha's fine here. Not necessarily the most powerful, but kind of gets the job done.
Sort of. Barry can coin the Spellbreaker and
true.
Immediately trade over the Scavenging Hyena, which I think they will probably favor because they've just seen what happens when you let a hyena go uncontested. And especially now that they've picked up the Twilight Drake for turn 4, they're going to feel like they can probably go ahead and coin this turn.
Yeah, they're thinking about this. They're considering it. Looks like they just want to go for more slow play. If they do this, I would like to see them life tap first, just to see what their options are.
Burning a kill command is pretty good for them.
Ooh, because they could have played Doomsayer.
I think they very likely would have wanted to play Doomsayer.
Oh yeah, see, I really wish they would have life tapped first. That changes a whole lot about the game.
Always draw first, friends. You never know what you might get. Still here, St. Edward's. You can't trade off this Dire Mole to buff up this Hyena. They do have a very clean flanking strike play. The only thing they do need to worry about is, I guess, Hellfire from Barry would be a perfect clear.
About that. And I don't think there's any way that you can do this without being weak to Hellfire.